Some brands do not sell clothes, they sell a feeling, and women finally stopped paying good money for feelings that never once delivered. Here are the 10 clothing brands women secretly regret buying in 2026. Number 10. Tommy Hilfiger. Tommy Hilfiger built something powerful in the 90s, a clean, preppy image that made the red, white, and blue logo feel like a symbol of success. But that image has not aged the way the brand hoped. A sweater priced near $95 now feels thin after a handful of washes, and basic polos that cost over $80 look almost identical to pieces selling for half the price at other stores. The bigger issue is that outlet malls and constant promotions have quietly drained the brand of its premium feel. When something goes on sale every single week, it stops feeling like a deal and starts feeling like the real price was always lower. Women who once saw Tommy Hilfiger as an aspirational label now mostly see it as a nostalgic one, and nostalgia alone does not justify the price tag, and women with options stopped pretending otherwise. But at least Tommy never convinced women it was secretly European luxury. The next brand absolutely did. Number 9. White House Black Market. White House Black Market sold a very specific fantasy, polished, monochrome dressing that felt like power and elegance at the same time. For a long time, it worked. But fashion shifted toward softness, personality, and clothes that move with real life, and this brand stayed firmly planted in a corporate version of femininity that fewer women actually want anymore. A basic black blouse now costs around $89, using fabrics that feel barely different from department store alternatives. The real regret is emotional. Women bought into an identity that felt sophisticated and ended up with a wardrobe that felt more like a dress code. Style should feel personal, and for many women, this brand stopped feeling like theirs. But dressing to disappear is nothing compared to dressing to impress and failing completely. Number 8. Talbots. Talbots made a promise to mature women, dependable, elegant clothes that required no effort to look put together. For a while, that promise held, but somewhere along the way, dependable turned into predictable, and predictable turned into invisible. Boxy cuts, conservative shapes, and muted styling started making women feel like they were dressing to disappear rather than to be seen. A $120 sweater does not feel like an investment when it makes you look like you stopped caring about style rather than like you perfected it. Women want clothes that grow with their confidence, and many feel Talbots stopped doing that years ago. Remote work killed one brand, but overexposure quietly killed something far more beloved. Number 7. Ann Taylor. Ann Taylor had a loyal following built entirely around office culture, tailored blazers, pencil skirts, and structured workwear that felt serious and polished. Then remote work arrived, and suddenly those $150 blazers had nowhere to go. The clothes survived in the closet, but the lifestyle they were built for mostly did not. Beyond the timing problem, the cuts began feeling stiff, the fabrics leaned heavily polyester, and the silhouettes did not evolve the way modern workwear did. Women who now work in hybrid environments need clothes that transition, not clothes that only belong in a conference room. That gap between what Ann Taylor offers and what women actually need is where the regret quietly lives. A waistband with a name on it used to feel like a flex. That story aged terribly. Number 6. Calvin Klein. Clean lines, effortless minimalism, a logo that once felt like a quiet flex. Calvin Klein built something iconic, and for years women paid extra for that simplicity because the identity behind it felt worth it. The problem is that minimalism became the dominant language of fashion across every price point, and Calvin Klein no longer has a monopoly on that look. Fast fashion brands now produce the same silhouettes, the same neutral tones, and the same streamlined cuts at a fraction of the cost. The brand responded by leaning harder into logo branding rather than design innovation, which had the opposite effect. Instead of feeling elevated, it started feeling generic. Paying $35 for a logo waistband that used to feel like a status move now mostly feels like a habit. Losing minimalism hurts, but losing charm in front of everyone is a different kind of embarrassing. Number 5. Ted Baker. Ted Baker made women feel like they were buying something genuinely creative, playful prints, British charm, and a sense of personality that stood apart from safe, corporate fashion. Dresses priced around $250 felt justified because the brand carried a certain magic. But magic is fragile, and this brand fell apart under closer inspection. The fabrics and finishing on many pieces felt average once they arrived in real life, despite looking extraordinary in product photography. Then came financial difficulties, store closures, and a general feeling that the brand was holding on by reputation alone. Women started asking a fair question: why pay designer prices for clothes that feel closer to mid-range quality? The charm was real once. The gap between what it costs and what it delivers is what created the regret. Fading magic is one thing, but watch what happens when a brand becomes too easy to find. Number 4. Michael Kors. Michael Kors cracked a brilliant code for a while, offering the feeling of luxury at a price that felt attainable. Handbags, watches, and coats carried a sense of status that did not require a designer budget, and women genuinely loved that. But the brand grew too fast and too loud. Outlet stores started appearing everywhere, heavy discounts became the norm, and the logo that once felt aspirational became overexposed. When a $350 bag shows up at an outlet for $140 every other weekend, the original price stops meaning anything. Quality perception followed. Pieces that once felt crafted started feeling produced for volume rather than care. The emotional pull of luxury depends on feeling special, and when a brand is everywhere, that feeling simply cannot survive. An identity crisis is bad, but a brand that keeps changing its personality every season is somehow worse. Number 3. Banana Republic. Banana Republic has been searching for an identity for years, and that search is exactly what makes it hard to trust. One season, it leaned into safari aesthetics, then it shifted toward minimalist luxury, then it chased the quiet luxury trend, and none of it fully landed. The deeper problem is the product itself. A $90 shirt that looks almost identical to something from a $45 Gap rack from the same parent company is a hard sell. Women started noticing that elevated essentials did not actually feel elevated, just priced differently. When a brand cannot decide what it stands for, customers eventually decide for it, and many have quietly stopped returning. The next one knew exactly who it was, and then slowly sold that identity away for a discount. Number 2. J. Crew. J. Crew built one of the most believable lifestyle brands in American fashion. Effortless, polished, quietly aspirational. Women bought into tailored basics and Hamptons-inspired styling because it felt timeless rather than trendy, but constant discounting slowly dismantled that image. When customers expect 40% off before they even look at the price tag, the brand no longer feels premium. It feels permanently on sale. Fabric quality also shifted over time, with thinner materials and less consistent fits, replacing what used to feel like a reliable standard. The identity that once felt so clear became harder to pin down as ownership changed and trends shifted around it. Women who spent years trusting J. Crew now largely feel like they were paying for a version of the brand that no longer exists. Everything so far stings, but this last one hurts because almost every woman has fallen for it at least once. Number 1. Zara. Zara cracked a code that no other brand had managed before, runway trends at prices that actually made sense, sitting on shelves before the season even peaked. Walking into a Zara felt exciting, almost electric, like fashion was finally accessible without compromise. Dresses between $40 and $80, fresh drops every week, and styles that looked genuinely current kept women coming back without guilt. But that excitement had a quiet cost that took years to notice. The fabrics ran thin, the stitching rarely held past a few washes, and the trends moved so fast that last month's statement piece already felt dated before the next paycheck arrived. Closets filled up quickly, but satisfaction never followed, because a wardrobe built on constant newness never actually feels complete. Women were not shopping anymore. They were just feeding a cycle that Zara designed specifically and very deliberately to never end. In 2026, most fashion regret comes from paying for hype that never matched reality. Subscribe for more honest breakdowns of the brands everyone secretly questions.